What's up everybody, Viktor here, and it's time for yet another nation guide for Mali, because this one will actually have to deal with the disaster that came in Origins. Without further ado, let's get this started. Now before we can talk about estates and privileges, or the military, or diplomacy, the first thing we need to talk about is this disaster, Decline of Mali, because this is going to really be the thorn in your side for the next about 30 years. So what is this disaster? Well, it does give you 4 penalties right here. The national unrest, stability cost modifier, caravan power, and monthly autonomy change. Those really aren't the penalties that you're really having to worry about. You see, what actually there is a couple of events that can fire with independent mean time to happens. What that means is they can all fire at once, or none of them can fire for over a year. Now, what are these? You have stability loss, which is just oh so fun, and we'll get to that. You have peasants, separatists, estate rebels, and pretender rebels, all that you have to deal with. The pretender rebels will fire whenever you have a new monarch come to the throne, whether that is your ruler dying or a pretender rebel coming to the throne. So yeah, perpetual pretender rebels are a thing. And you want that to stop as quickly as you possibly can, because they will eventually break you. Even though you have really, really, really bad rulers, it's better than perpetual pretender rebels. Next, you have the peasants. What the peasants are is they'll start in a state, and they'll demand either you give them 30% autonomy in that entire state, or you have to fight about a 12 to 14 stack of peasants. Then you have the separatists. Whenever you have a core of another country within your own, you'll have an event fire that says either give them independence entirely, every single core that they have, independent, or fight 12 to 14 stack of rebels. And then lastly, you have the estates, which will fire, or you have to give them a lot of influence, which, annoying, but you can handle that. So you don't want any of these to fire, because no matter how good you are, eventually that will wear you down if you do nothing. It's just going to. And eventually you'll have people run in and just conquer you because you have no army left to fight the rebels. So how do you deal with this? Well, you deal with it through your mission tree. Now your mission tree will end up getting rid of them through these 3 right here, though peasants are not going to leave, neither is the stability loss. Well, again, I'll get to that in a second. The first one here will make it so you stop having pretender rebels rising up. To do that, you have to be gaining 6 of each monarch power every month. So you have to have a better ruler or through other means. And then the next one is you have to have all of your estates be loyal, over 60%. And then finally, this one right here, you have to embrace a culture and develop it up enough to be able to do so. So how do you get through these really quickly? You actually do it through the estates and privileges. Now, I highly recommend you follow exactly what I did here, though you don't have to follow absolutely everything. First off, do not grant the religious state, but I do recommend granting both the primacy of the emirs and the land of commerce. This will give you +1 to these 2, meaning you have 4 in all 3 of them. Because you already have the +1 here in admin, that's why you don't want to take it here. There's another reason, but we'll get to that in a second. You don't have to take free enterprise, you don't have to take supremacy over the crown if you don't want to, but this is what you want. The reason why you do not take this right here is because you cannot sell titles if you do not have 10% crown land. So if you grant it and think, oh, I'll just dev something once, you can't do that anymore. You have to have at least 10% to sell the land, so not only can you get these guys over 60%, but so you have enough money to come in here, and you guessed it, higher level 2 advisors. This will get you the 6 monarch power in each category per month to click this button, and then to click this button, making it so the estates will be loyal, and you won't have pretender rebels anymore, eliminating 2 of the 5 problems you're going to have. Now that that's done, you can come in here and seize land. Now you did notice that I did not grant the prestige. The reason why is this guy is really, really, really bad, and if you keep him, you will fall behind in tech, and you will eventually be crushed by either Europeans showing up, or everybody else around you having military tech when you don't. So you're going to disinherit him. Now, if you ended up disinheriting him and then already took the prestige, you'll only get 15 prestige. Right here, I'm getting 25. So it's just, you're making certain you're getting more out of it. That is now the estates and privileges done. We're now 2 of these down. The third one is fairly easy. Get a little bit of monarch power, and you're now able to start deving up Gabu, which is what it requires, to 15. and then embrace this culture, which means you'll have to develop this one to 15 and canter up by 2 more, and you'll be able to embrace the culture, and then that one will stop it, so any of these independent cores will demand independence, either back to their tags, such as I had it so I conquered Timbuktu but didn't complete that in time, and then either I had to fight rebels I couldn't fight because they were too large, or I had to hand them back to Timbuktu. So before you really do anything, try and get this done. Now let's talk about the other mission here, Mansa to arms. You simply need to make your ruler into a general, and you need to hire yourself up to force limit. Now you will eventually be hiring the free company, so you'll be doing that anyway, but you'll be doing it once you can fire these guys, so you need to wait a month anyway. And once you do that, you'll have a large enough army to be able to dominate Jollof, dominate Timbuktu, Zhen, Kong, whoever you're going to be going after. But this mission will give you a subjugation CB on Jollof, and then a bunch of claims up here. So you won't be going after Kong immediately, but you'll have it up here. So I'm going to pause the recording while I get allies and let it tick through for a little bit, because I need to get my army together, fire the advisors, etc. As far as the allies are concerned, I usually go for air, and then I simply look through here for who else is willing to be my ally, because I don't need them to help me fight in any wars. What I need is for them to make certain other people don't attack me while I'm fighting in other wars. So I'll see you guys in just a second. And welcome back, everybody. As you can see, I now have the free company out. My army is still awaiting its reinforcements to come into play. I did fire all of my advisors the moment I possibly could, and on top of that, I do have the mission Mansa to Arms done. This gave me permanent claims on quite a bit of land, and on top of that, it gave me a subjugation CB on Jollof, which I recommend you do not use. The reason why is because if you use the subjugation CB, you have to actually subjugate them and make them into a vassal. The reason why you don't want to do that, and you don't want to have any vassals at all, is you will have an event fire within usually a couple of months that gives you all of your vassals, either made then or afterwards, 50% liberty desire, which means you won't be integrating anybody until about 30 years from now. So instead of dealing with that and stopping yourself from potentially having that to finish your missions later, just conquer them. Just straight out conquer them. Now, who you're going to attack is going to depend on everybody's alliance network. Timbuktu might ally Zhen and Kong and Jollof and make it so they are by far the annoying person in the room, because to attack them directly, which you're going to want to do so that you can full annex them, because you can't do that if you attack another one of their allies, you have to fight everybody. Or if they ally Songhai, that's even more annoying. However, in this case, they didn't. They allied Kong, meaning I can attack them, wipe out Kong, and then push north and take care of Timbuktu, because I have a much larger army than they would. As far as going after Jollof or Zhen, both of them are here and you do have missions to go after them. This one will give you a increase into the monument of Zhen, which is great. However, it's not necessary, and while the stability here is a thing that you'll get from taking Jollof and the admin power, you don't want to click this until later. Now, the whole stability thing that I said I would talk about later, now is a good time to talk about it. Those events that are going to constantly decrease your stability are going to be a problem, but it's even more of a problem because at the end here, you need to have 2 stability in order to finish this disaster off. Having it constantly be reducing your stability means it's going to be very annoying. Even though, yes, you get stability there, and there, and there, and there, and there. You're going to be in there long enough where all of these together will not get you to the +2. However, by hanging on to this one with the 200 admin power and the 1 stability, you'd be able to hire a stability cost advisor and then use that 200 admin power to bump yourself up enough to get to +1, and then use the +1 here to hopefully get you there all the way. So save this, so when you're ready to click this button, you can click all the other ones if you need to get enough stability to finish it off. Because there's nothing more annoying than having all of these be clicked, but then you need to wait for admin power so you could buy a stability, and the month before you get it, guess what? The event fires and you lose a stability. It happened to me 3 times in test runs. Don't let it happen to you. It's really, really, really annoying. But with that being said, it's time to go after this one because it'll get me more claims. And what that is simply is you need to dev this thing 3 times and increase its autonomy. Do this before you do anything else, because if you don't increase the autonomy and you have to give it to them multiple times, you can't complete this mission. So do this one as soon as you can too. Yes, it is a stability out of the way, but it's worth it because that gives you a lot more claims. With all that being said, it's time to start expanding. I think I'm going to be attacking Timbuktu, which will let me take out Kong, and I'm going to full annex both of them in this war. I'll probably go after Zholof or Zhen after that, or just go straight after Songhai. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of this. I'll be back in a little bit. See you guys then. And welcome back, everybody. So this event just fired, and let's talk about it. You see, this event is made to end up giving you a choice in this branching path of a mission right here. Now, you have 2 options. You can either go to convert everyone in your country, or to have a lot of tolerance of heathens. And tolerance of heathens is not exactly hard to get, because you're already at 2. You need to get to 3, and all you need to do is grant 1 dhimmi privilege, and you're pretty much there. So it's not exactly hard to do, but what are the benefits of doing them? Well, either you get tolerance of the true faith, +2, and 15% loyalty equilibrium for the ulema for 25 years, or +2 maximum tolerance of heathens, which means you don't actually get it, but it increases the maximum from 3 by another 2, which is great, I guess. And then dhimmi loyalty for 15%, and those 2 things are for 25 years. So it doesn't really matter which you go down, but you can choose. What does matter is what's in this actual selection here. You either have to go with mysticism or legalism, that's what you get in here, or you get government reform progress, or a stability point. Given the fact, again, you're having all of this stability loss, you know what I'm going to recommend. But of course, it is entirely up to you which you think is more important, because if you would rather have that government reform progress and just pay more admin just so you can get through this tree faster, I guess you can, but it's up to you, and I want to make sure you have that in front of you. With that being said, let me finish this war, and I'll talk to you guys in a second. And welcome back. So it's 10 years into the game. I've taken out Timbuktu, Kong, Zhen, and Zholof. I am currently coring everything up, though that's going to take a bit, and as you can see, I wasn't kidding when I said stability is going to be a problem. You're going to be using these occasionally to give yourself just enough stability, so out of the -3, so that you can actually declare war to go for the next one. It can get really, really, really bad. So do try to hold on to things like the Zholof one here that you don't need to click until you need to take the next ones down here. Because right now I can always core up Timbuktu, get this one done, and get the stability to go after Songhai, and then use the stability from that one if I need to. But after these 2, it's simply, do you have enough development? You need 350 development in total before you can move on, and you have to have 12 provinces in both regions of Niger and Sahel. You should be able to get that if you take all of Timbuktu and all of Songhai, and then you just need the 350 development. That is why Getinga here might be a target, Bonneman might be a target, Air ended up allying Timbuktu, so they might be my target this time. So simply pick who you're going to be going after, and try and keep yourself stable enough. At this point, given the fact my manpower is 0, I don't really have the ability to hire a mercenary group I want to hire, and I'm coring everything up. I'm sitting back and letting myself recover for a bit. Don't think you have to rush to get through this. The only thing you're potentially rushing for is Fulo, because once they spawn here, which usually happens around 1470, then you have to take them out too. But if you look, there's Devon here, meaning you can use that to get to that 350 to get this mission done. So don't think you have to go that fast. You really don't. With that being said, I'm going to pause it because, again, I need to wait for a couple of years just to recover, get my manpower back up, stabilize, probably fight a few Separatist rebels in that time, and then I'll be able to go after Songhai, and I'll bring you guys back once that's done. See you soon. And welcome back, everybody. So I ended up falling under a regency, so I couldn't do anything for a while, but it's finally time to go ahead and take care of Songhai. Now, this event will pop up once you end up taking care of this mission, and I did want to talk about that, so let's go ahead and do so. Now, you can move your capital to Timbuktu, but I don't recommend you do it, and instead leave it where it is. The reason why is pretty simple. You see, you get feudalism to naturally spread in your province by being an old world non-tribal capital, which means it's slowly going to fill up. Timbuktu doesn't really get this. Meaning, if you move, you'll have to then dev push the rest of this way. Instead of doing that, you can just leave it there and slowly get it to finish itself and not have to dev push. And if you look around, yeah, some other people also naturally get it, meaning you don't want to be falling behind. So here I'm going to go ahead and leave it where it is, and I'm going to declare on Songhai because now is a good time to do it. They don't have one of their allies willing to come in, which is absolutely great. And on top of that, I am going to be very easy to get my allies to at least make this more than a fair fight. And since Songhai declared war on Yatenga and ended up kind of losing that, I'm going to be able to come in here and just mop them up without a whole lot of difficulty. So I'm going to go ahead, call them all in, and make this province my war goal because it's an easy one I can grab. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So I now have the 350 development necessary to complete this mission, which means I'll be able to spin directly into here once I finish off this rebel stack, which will take just a second. And then, of course, finish these missions. So finish him off. There we go. And now I can simply click through. So Zoloft to get that 200 admin plus 1 stability. Reintegrate Songhai, which will give me an event here. And what this does is, as you can see here, it gives you negative 30 years of separatism and embraces Songhai. But if you go and look at this, the separatism, which is 30 years here, you click the button, you still have 30 years of separatism. And if I wait for a monthly tick, it'll still be there too. It doesn't go away. So for whatever reason, that event just doesn't really work that well. Now, if you tell, it did drop off 10 years, but not 30. So I don't know what their event is doing, but don't anticipate it eliminating a rebels that are about to fire from Songhai. It's not going to do that. So I wanted to point that out. And of course, click the button, and now I'm finally out of the disaster, so I don't have to worry anymore. If I did not get any subjects and I don't have the subject thing in here, you can release whoever you just conquered to get their rebels out of your hair, and you can integrate them later if you want, because now is the time to simply consolidate, get yourself secure, deal with all of the rebels you're going to have, and probably get your economy back on track, because if you're like me, I wasn't paying attention to the states that were having the peasants rise up asking for autonomy. The reason why that's important is because if you're not paying attention, it can happen to your gold mines and completely trash your economy. This is just paying attention and luck. So, unfortunately, 2 of them I can tell you happened while I was in the middle of a war against Songhai or against somebody where I did not have the ability to deal with a 15 stack of rebels running through my country. I just didn't have the capacity at that point. So whether you're going to have to take that 30 autonomy or fight rebels, hopefully you don't have to do either one, but hopefully you also don't have 100% autonomy on your gold mine, because that means you get no income from it. Now, as far as the other missions that you have, those are relatively straightforward, and I'll just talk about them because you don't really need to see them. Once you build the 10 light ships here, you'll be able to get a center of trade, go exploration ideas. After you've completed this and get quests for the new world, the first idea in exploration to get an explorer, that mission will give you an explorer. And then once you get down here and you actually can see South America, you'll get another event, Land Discovered. And the way Land Discovered works is kind of interesting. So give me a second while I bring up a non-Iron Man game because I can't do it here. See you in just a second. And welcome to non-Iron Man. So I went ahead and integrated all these people here, completed all the missions, just so I can get the site over here. Once you are able to complete this mission, you'll have an event pop up that'll let you have an explorer and a bunch of sailors. So It's always nice to get this because then you can build your exploration fleet and not have to buy an explorer. It's always nice. But this one you need to sit and wait. What you're waiting for is for somebody to be in this province right here. The reason why is if you click this early, you'll get a core on this province, and that's it. However, if you click this and you have somebody on this province, as you can see here, they just give it to you. That is now your land, meaning you're able to ship troops over, colonize, do whatever you want, but more importantly, you now qualify, since you have something in the New World, to spawn colonialism down here. Now, of course, if there's nobody there, try and colonize in this area yourself, just to meet that requirement. But just being able to jump over, ignore colonial range, everything else, and just have a province there no matter what, that allows you to fabricate claims, to conquer people, and if necessary, not even get a colonist that way, is perfect. Meaning, it's very easy for you to take over all of this region before the Europeans can ever really get to you. And then on top of that, if you look in your other missions, down here, you'll end up getting a colonist for 25 years and extra settler chance and money. All you need to do is settle 10 provinces. So off you go. And if you decide you want to, you can either keep going through exploration ideas, or if you're able to get this province, you can even dump them and pick up expansion ideas just because you want to use admin or whatever else you want, and get multiple colonists in that group as well. So there's a lot of different ways you can take advantage of this. Now, just to talk about it, basically, the disaster for Mali, while I've shown you how to get through it, is still fairly RNG. You can get either really fortunate with those peasants and they are going to leave you alone, or you can have a horrible run of luck like I did, where you're probably going to end up going bankrupt. There's not really a way to get around that other than fighting the rebels and taking it slower than I actually did. And that's the thing, those peasant rebellions are pretty much just RNG. With any luck, you won't have to deal with them in your gold mine states, even though they are frustrating elsewhere. If they fire somewhere else, it's not the end of the world. Because yes, it drops your force limit, yes, it drops taxes, yes, it kind of drops your production income, but it doesn't hurt you near as much as a gold mine would. Those gold mines are the only thing really keeping your economy afloat for a very long time. So if you have them firing there, I hope that they don't, but if they do, they at least have the common courtesy to do it at peacetime, where you can immediately walk in there and knock them out. But it's, again, RNG. Now, at this point with Mali, if you can get through the disaster and have a solid enough foundation of an economy to not have bankruptcy concerns or anything else, you should be fine. You are in an amazing position to do largely whatever you want to do. Not only can you go into the New World, get the gold mines of Brazil, and dominate the trade, including all of the trade coming out of India, but on top of that, you even have a decision if you complete the Timbuktu mission, which, again, you have to, that'll let you colonize Tuat. And this will let you just start dropping a colony there, so you can, as you can see here, expand into Morocco. So get ready for that, because once you do it, all of this can become yours too, meaning you can start running up here and transferring trade from your home node up as well. So there's a lot of different things you can do. You can ruin the European economy, you can go colonial, you can go into Africa, into Indonesia as well. There's a lot of different things you can do as long as you can survive this opening start. And I do want to stress the one thing. This opener, even with this guide, can still end up having you restart, because again, of that RNG. If you have to restart, it's not just you. One of the reasons why I kept pausing the recording between everything is because this, more than any other guide I've made, except for Perm, has made me cuss so many times out of sheer frustration for what it was doing. So be ready for the frustration. But once you can get through it and you are on solid foundation, there is nothing that feels better than being able to just dumpster everyone in West Africa. The people that used to stand against you are now falling everywhere. And suddenly you can push into anybody you want without any real concern, because there's nothing that can stop Mali once it gets going. Because even if the Europeans try to land next to you, you can push them off. Because the Europeans are bad, again, at any kind of intercontinental warfare. Unless they have a land border, and once they decide to get a land border, this is an amazing funnel to make them bleed. Permanently. They will never be able to get through without completely shattering themselves. So take advantage of where you're at and have a lot of fun with this. But again, be ready for that frustration. If you like this kind of content, though, like and subscribe. I'll definitely be making more of it. If you want to see a particular country be covered or another mechanic covered, let me know in a comment below, because I don't know what's something that most people want versus something only a few people want. So let me know. But with all of that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you guys have a